Let's get right into it. Number 10. Getting into a stranger's car. Never get into a stranger's car. That was the number one rule of staying alive as a kid, right up there with don't eat random berries and don't touch the stove. If you got into a stranger's car in 1995, you were either being kidnapped or you had a serious lapse in judgment. Now we pull out our phones, summon a random stranger from the internet, and casually slide into their back seat. We don't even look up from our phones. Yeah, hi, just take me to Chipotle, thanks. And we rate them afterward, like we're judging a gymnastics competition. 4 stars. He took a weird left turn on Main Street. The stranger is also rating you at the same time. 2 people who met 8 minutes ago are simultaneously judging each other's life choices. Before Uber existed, if someone said their morning routine included getting into a car with a guy named Dale, who they found on the internet, you would have called the police. Now Dale has 4.8 stars and a pine tree air freshener, and honestly, he seems lovely. Number 9. Online dating. In 1995, if you told someone you met your girlfriend on the internet, they would look at you like you just said you met her in a dumpster. The phrase "I met someone online" carried the same energy as "I joined a cult." The same people who called online dating dangerous were perfectly fine meeting strangers at a bar at 2 a.m. A dark room full of drunk strangers is safer than a website. The logic was airtight. Today, online dating isn't just accepted, it's the most common way couples meet, more common than through friends, more common than at work, more common than at bars. About 40% of new couples in the US now meet online. Tinder alone has been downloaded over 500 million times. In 2003, couples would make up fake how we met stories to avoid saying the internet. Now couples proudly announce they matched on Tinder like it's something to put on a wedding invitation. Number 8. Eating raw fish. Mention eating uncooked seafood to an American a century ago, and they'd look at you like you just said you were going to eat carpet. But then sushi happened. Sushi didn't even start as raw fish. The original version was fermented fish. They buried fish in rice and salt for months, sometimes years, until it smelled absolutely horrifying. So, the thing that became the most popular food in every airport mall started as rotting fish. Progress. When Japanese immigrants brought sushi to America in the early 1900s, Americans wanted nothing to do with it. The first U.S. sushi restaurant opened in Los Angeles in 1966. It was aimed almost entirely at Japanese businessmen. A chef named Ichiro Mishita ran out of tuna and substituted avocado. He also flipped the roll inside out so the seaweed was hidden because Americans were apparently fine with raw fish, but deeply suspicious of seaweed. That became the California roll,
Come on, just
and the
try a little
California
piece.
roll
It's very
became the
fresh.
gateway drug for an entire
no, thank
nation.
you.
By
I
the
am not eating
1980s,
raw fish.
celebrities were photographed eating sushi. It became a status symbol. Suddenly, raw fish wasn't disgusting. It was sophisticated. The same raw fish, nothing changed except who was eating it. Number 7. Broadcasting your private life. Your grandma's diary had a tiny lock on it. She hid it under her mattress. She would have rather died than let someone read it. You just posted what you had for breakfast. You tagged the restaurant. You told 847 strangers your exact location. Then you waited to see if they'd approve of your eggs. Privacy used to be survival. If your enemies knew where you were dead. People guarded personal information like it was gold. Then social media showed up and said, "What if you just didn't do that?" And somehow, everyone said, "Yeah, okay." Imagine someone in 1995 standing on their front porch every morning shouting their mood to the neighborhood. "Feeling tired today. Had oatmeal. My back hurts." The neighbors would have called someone. That's literally what a Twitter thread is. Researchers call this the privacy paradox. People say they care deeply about privacy, then they immediately post a photo of their living room, their kids, and their home address in the background. The diary didn't disappear. We just gave it a comment section. Number 6. Running without being chased. 1968, you're in an American suburb. You lace up your shoes and start jogging down the street. No one's chasing you. No ball to kick. Just you running for fun. Your neighbors would think something was wrong. They'd call the police. For most of human history, running meant something terrible was happening. You ran from predators. You ran from enemies. Running was the body saying, "We are in serious danger." The medical community in the 1950s believed long-distance running was dangerous for your heart. The idea was that the human heart had a limited number of beats, like a battery. Doctors told patients to avoid exertion. Running for fun was slow self-destruction. Jim Fixx changed everything. In 1977, he wrote the complete book of running. It sold over 1 million copies. Suddenly, jogging wasn't insane. It was a lifestyle. The jogging boom was so massive, shoe companies couldn't keep up. Nike went from selling shoes out of a car trunk to a $1 billion company. People went from thinking running was bizarre to treating it like a moral virtue. Today, there are over 1,100 marathons in the United States every year. People pay hundreds of dollars to run 26 miles through a city, all to do something that 60 years ago would have gotten you a visit from the police. Number 5, paying a fortune for coffee. In your parents' lifetime, coffee was just coffee. A lady named Brenda poured you a cup for 25 cents. No decisions required. Now, you need a college degree just to order. I'll have a venti iced skinny hazelnut macchiato with oat milk, 2 pumps of vanilla, light ice, and extra foam. That's not a coffee order. That's a legal document, and it costs $7. Imagine telling your grandfather that one day people would stand in line in the rain before work to pay $7 for coffee with a made-up Italian name. He would have had you checked out by a doctor. Venti just means 20 in Italian. You are paying $7 for a large. They just said it in Italian so you wouldn't notice. It worked. Starbucks alone has something like 170,000 possible drink combinations. That is more options than most car dealerships for a beverage that will be gone before your next meeting. Number 4, women wearing trousers. Not that long ago, wearing trousers could get a woman arrested, literally arrested. In 19th century Paris, there was an actual law making it illegal for women to wear trousers. Passed in 1800, not fully repealed until 2013, the same year people were playing Candy Crush. In the 1850s, a woman named Amelia Bloomer started promoting loose trousers worn under a shorter skirt. She received hate mail. Newspapers ran cartoons showing women in trousers taking over the world, bossing men around, smoking cigars. The trousers weren't just clothing, they were a symbol. Whoever wore the trousers ran the household. World War I changed everything. Women entered factories to replace men who had gone to war. You cannot operate heavy machinery in a corset and floor-length skirt, so trousers became practical necessity. Katharine Hepburn was so committed to wearing trousers that when a studio executive stole hers to force her into a skirt, she walked around the lot in her underwear until they gave them back. Even in the 1970s, women were still being turned away from restaurants for wearing trousers. Female senators were banned from the U.S. Senate floor in trousers until 1993, and now you can wear jeans to a job interview. Number 3, spending real money on virtual items. Imagine explaining this to someone from 1995. I just spent $20 on a hat. Oh, cool. Let me see it. You can't. It doesn't exist. It's for my video game character. They would have had you committed. The global market for virtual items is now worth over $50 a year for things you cannot touch, hold, or put on a shelf. Fortnite is free to play, but the game makes around $2 billion a year on skins, outfits for your character that do absolutely nothing except make you look different while you lose. Some virtual items have become genuine investments. In Counter-Strike, weapon skins sell for tens of thousands of dollars. One knife skin sold for over $150,000. People treat the skin market like the stock market. Someone paid $450,000 for a plot of virtual land next to Snoop Dogg's virtual mansion. Think about what money actually is. It's a number on a screen. It has value because everyone agrees it has value. A virtual sword has value because everyone agrees it has value. The only difference is which group of people agreed. Number 2, flying in a metal tube. In 1903, 2 bicycle mechanics from Ohio told the world they could fly. Newspapers refused to cover the Wright brothers' first flight, not because they missed it, because they thought it was too stupid to print. Even after people accepted flying was possible, they thought you'd have to be insane to actually do it. Early passengers sat in open cockpits. No heat, no pressurization, just you, some wood and canvas, and the very real possibility of becoming a crater. Early airlines hired nurses as flight attendants, not to serve peanuts, to convince terrified passengers they weren't about to die. In the 1920s, airmail pilots had a life expectancy so short that the job was basically a polite way of saying goodbye to your family. 40% of them died on the job. Navigation meant looking down at roads and hoping you recognized something. Humanity jumped from this is impossible to 100,000 flights per day for two reasons: money and war. World War II forced engineers to solve aviation problems at insane speed. The Boeing 707 launched commercial jet travel in 1958. Today, about 4.5 billion people fly every year. The thing once considered the act of a madman is now so routine. People complain about legroom while hurtling through the stratosphere at speeds that would have seemed like fantasy 120 years ago. Number 1. Listening to rock and roll. In the 1950s, parents genuinely believed rock and roll would destroy civilization, not damage, destroy. Church groups held public burnings of rock records. They would pile up Elvis albums and burn them in parking lots in front of cheering crowds. When Elvis appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1956, cameras only filmed him from the waist up because his hips moved. The man was considered too dangerous to show below the belt on national television. Frank Sinatra called rock and roll the most brutal, ugly, desperate, vicious form of expression it has been my displeasure to hear. The guy who made women faint at his concerts said that. Congress held actual hearings about whether rock music was a communist plot to corrupt American youth. They sat in suits in the United States Capitol debating whether Chuck Berry was a Soviet weapon. Now that same music plays in grocery stores. Your dentist has it on while drilling your teeth. It is in car commercials and elevator music. The most dangerous music in human history is now what they play while you are on hold with your insurance company. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.